The Rehab for Residential Rebate Program is imperative that permits are obtained just like any major renovation project. So it's not really different than what we're already doing or what's already required through the state building code requirements and the city's local ordinances. What's important is that licensed contractors are also part of the project. Homeowners can apply for this program, but they will be required to use licensed contractors and will require permitting just like they would on any homeowner permit. The importance of the licensed contractor is to be assured that we're properly insured, they have the correct liability coverage in the event something were to occur on the property, but at the same time they're the qualified industry folks out there, and it's real critical, not just in this area but in any area of the city, that we have quality construction and we follow building codes, plumbing codes, electrical codes for the safety of the public.
Everything was run down. There was a hot water heater in the back that was barely connected. I don't know how people were living here, but so we started there and just started gutting it, everything. All new windows, all new electric, all new plumbing, most of the studs, some of the pylons were bad. We had to fix that. We had to have the whole thing drawn up by an architect, and just have everything done. But from the initial plans that we had the building drawn up by an architect of whatever renovations were going to be, working through, every aspect, electrical, plumbing, structural, landscaping. Every permit we had to pull, myself and Rhonda had to go down to the city, and, didn't always pass the first time. It's a learning process, once you get over 5 units, it's it's a different class, and you have to deal with different rules and regulations.
Good morning. My name's Karl Nurse. I'm the city councilman for this area. We're proud to announce a rebate for residential rehabs today. This is an innovative program that has a remarkably low bureaucracy content that is intended to use $4 of private money in rehabs for every dollar of city money. And the intent is to spark quality renovations in 4 targeted neighborhoods. The idea is very simple. You know what has happened in the foreclosure crisis. The houses are coming back to cash investors, and our goal here is to how can we incentivize when either a person lives in a house and is a homeowner or somebody buys a house, how can we incentivize them to do a real renovation? And most of the houses in these neighborhoods are more than 50 years old, so they often need roofs, electric, plumbing, HVAC, hurricane hardening, and so it can be real money to renovate them. And unfortunately, what often happens is a paint job and nothing else. And so what this will do is just the opposite. This is to say, if you're willing to spend $25,000 or more renovating a residential unit in our targeted neighborhoods, we'll inspect it at the beginning. You'll go through the normal permitting process. At the end, you get the CO. We'll fill out the paperwork and process a rebate for 20 cents on the dollar. We have enough money that if they were $25,000 renovations, that it's enough money to do 78 housing units, and we believe that 78 stones in the water will cause lots of ripples, and every time you renovate a house on a block, it increases the chances that another house will be renovated. And so what we're trying to do is to cause positive activity, to increase the number of renovations. And I should mention that this also works in conjunction. These are the same neighborhoods where we, the city, are building new houses, and so the one program sort of lays on top of the other. And so we're looking forward today to seeing people who want to do real renovations come to these targeted neighborhoods and pull permits, do real jobs, and we'll help you make it work economically. So with that, let me stop. Let me introduce the mayor, and he'll have something to say to us.
Well, thank you all for coming out. And let me start by thanking Council Chair Karl Nurse. This was really his brainchild. And when you think about the foreclosure crisis and all of these things, the city of St. Petersburg, we didn't create it, the crisis. We don't control the banks. We don't regulate the banks. We don't have anything to do with that aspect. But when bad things happen, whether it's economically, whether it's terrible lending practices, whether it's committing fraud, all of these things, the city is when they kick the can, the city's left holding the bag. And so we have properties that are boarded up. We have properties that can be rehabbed. We have banks abandoning properties in the city of St. Petersburg, and it brings everything down. So yes, in NSP properties using federal dollars, there's a lot of things that we can do to raise the level of quality housing in neighborhoods, one house, one block at a time. But this is the city's investment. And what's exciting about this is real city dollars going in to providing this monetary match to incentivize people to rehab their properties, to create more quality, affordable housing in targeted neighborhoods, because we're always talking about areas of greatest need. And we have neighborhoods that have these needs, and the city is committed in coming in with infrastructure enhancements. And there's a lot of things that we can do in city right-of-ways, roads, sidewalks, landscape, all of these things. But if you have these abandoned properties, these boarded up structures, it makes it very hard. So this is to incentivize real development in very real neighborhoods to generate more affordable housing for the workforce. So we're excited about this. Thank you, Karl, for your investment. Thank you to the city staff for getting behind this and for overseeing the use of this real taxpayer dollars, but in a very positive way. It's a small investment to put a property back on the tax rolls, one that nobody's paying the taxes now anyway, but eventually when the taxes are paid, when the rehab is done, when the property is reassessed, that's where the city gets its money back. And then it has that ripple effect. So thank you all for believing in this, for those in the media to cover this. This is an exciting story and one that needs to be told, and a program that needs to be emulated throughout the state. So thank you.
If I could add a couple of things. Our permitting office is going to handle this. Rick Dunn, Chief of Permits, is here. And I think, do I understand correctly that essentially people will come to the permitting office and they need to talk about this at the beginning, so you fill out paperwork at the beginning and get an inspection of the home before the process starts. And the other thing I want to make sure that people understand is that this is available to anybody. This is, if you can be a homeowner or you can be somebody who's just bought a property. The goal is very, very simple. We want properties in our targeted neighborhoods improved. And so it doesn't matter whether you're a homeowner or an investor, because it's going to be the folks who live in this neighborhood and the surrounding neighborhoods that will benefit from this. One more detail, the maximum incentive is $10,000, and that would be in a case where somebody spent $50,000. We would do a $10,000 rebate. And I should make clear that this does require people to pull permits.
Yeah, that's important.
And so and the motivation of that's very simple. We want to make sure that that it's good work that we inspect that stands the test of time. So thank you all for coming. I look forward to to 78 more houses being renovated in our targeted neighborhoods, and then I look forward to the ripple that causes. Thank you very much.
I know many of you, but some of you I don't. My name is Noah Lagos. I'm the airport director here at St. Pete Clearwater International Airport, and I want to welcome you this morning. It's quite an honor for us to host this press conference in association with the Tony Jannus Distinguished Aviation Society. So I welcome all the media members that are here, our guests, and most of all of you that are our friends. The St. Pete Clearwater International Airport is honored to host the Spring 2013 press conference announcing this year's Tony Jannus Award nominee, now in its 50th year. Just above is a replica of the Benoit aircraft Tony Jannus flew in the debut of the St. Petersburg, Tampa airline. You notice who got the top billing, right? Without the know-how of Jannus and the business aptitude of Percival Fansler, commercial aviation and the resulting system of airports, including ours, PIE, might not have developed as we know it today. Therefore, as a result of these pioneers and entrepreneurs who started the world's first commercial airline, a new business model was launched, which did evolve into the multi-billion-dollar airline industry that serves us very well today.
We are pleased to welcome each of you to the Tony Jannus Award press conference. Our purpose is to announce the 50th anniversary nominee of the 2013 Tony Jannus Award. Many of you know this story, but I think it's worth telling over and over again, especially for those of you who don't know. This award is named for the founder of the world's first scheduled airline. The inaugural flight was on January 1st, 1914, just 10 years and 2 weeks after the Wright brothers' first flight at Kitty Hawk. St. Petersburg's mayor, Abe Fell, was the airliner's first passenger taking off from the St. Petersburg Marina, landing 23 minutes and 21 miles away, northeast across Tampa Bay. The price for a one-way ticket, $5. The airline grew so much that it required a second aircraft with a top speed of 70 miles an hour. 50 years later, the 35th President of the United States, John F. Kennedy, traveled to Al Lopez Park in Tampa to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Tony Jannus first flight across Tampa Bay. A year later, 1964, the Tampa and St. Petersburg Chambers of Commerce established the Tony Jannus Distinguished Aviation Society to recognize outstanding pioneers, participants, and contributors to the growth and success of commercial aviation to honor Tony Jannus. Tony Jannus's passion for flying and his pioneering instincts became the blueprint for today's multi-billion-dollar airline industry. Tony Jannus Award honorees include the elite of aviation pioneers, aeronautical engineers, industry CEOs, and governmental leaders, including the Honorable A.S. Mike Monroney, Captain Edward V. Rickenbacker, Sir Frank Whittle, Lieutenant General James Doolittle, William Powell Lear, C.R. Smith, David C. Garrett, Jr., and Juan Albrecht as a sampling. I invite you to take a moment at your convenience to browse TonyJannus.org for the amazing history of aviation achievement our prior honorees represent. In addition to the Tony Jannus Award, the Tony Jannus Distinguished Aviation Society recognizes and supports outstanding high school and university students. Each year, we honor one high school student as the winner of our statewide essay contest to foster an interest in aviation at an early age. We provide financial assistance to worthy college and university students through our Scholars Award program. We will again present 6 awards to deserving college students totaling $15,000 this year.
This is an exciting time where we get to announce the 2013 Tony Jannus Award winner. In the nomination process, we rely on our board members and past recipients. And this year's award, not only being the 50th anniversary of the Tony Jannus Award, but more importantly, we're coming on the centennial of the foundation of the commercial aviation industry that started right here. We're just 7 months away from that historic flight on the 1st of January, 1914. So this is, we have selected a nominee, the board has selected a nominee that is now the award recipient for the Tony Jannus Award that is reshaping the airline industry during this centennial year of the industry and at a very critical juncture. And we had several nominations for this award winner, but it is my pleasure to present a fellow board member, Robert Bohan, who will articulate the qualities of our 2013 Tony Jannus Award winner. So before I introduce Robert, it is my pleasure to announce the 2013 Tony Jannus Award to Mr. Richard H. Anderson. Mr. Anderson is the chairman, is the CEO of Delta Airlines and is also a member of their board of directors. But as I alluded to earlier, more importantly, he's reshaping Delta and the entire airline model, focusing on employee involvement, contribution, mergers, redesigning the financial model to making the next 100 years of the aviation industry, commercial aviation industry, both profitable and serving the nation.
When you look at what Tony Jannus stands for and who you're going to nominate, there's a lot of things that go into it. So I want to give you a little bit of background to my thought process. Tony Jannus was not only the pilot of the world's first scheduled commercial airline flight, he was a pioneer, a visionary, and a risk taker. Someone who has influenced the world of commercial aviation for the past 100 years. When you look at some of the names of the previous Tony Jannus Award winners, and you see names like Donald Douglas, Lieutenant General James Doolittle, Herb Kelleher, Sir Richard Branson, and Fred Smith. That's just to name a few. And what do they all have in common with Tony Jannus? You'll find that they all have in common that these previous Tony Jannus Award winners left a legacy that has changed commercial aviation from this point on and into the future. Tony Jannus at the time took huge risks that we thought were crazy at the time. It is rare today to find a CEO that'll take these risks. It's rare to find a CEO that's going to break out of the comfort of running with the pack, of someone that's going to be a visionary. It even takes me even more of a rare CEO to see the future and envision a different future and then come up with a flight plan to get us there. Richard Anderson is one of these CEOs. Richard Anderson truly fits in with the Tony Jannus legacy. His accomplishments in commercial aviation, his willing to take risk, his willing to bring us to the next level, his vision is exactly what the Tony Jannus Award is all about.
It truly is an honor to be here today, along with my Delta colleagues, to represent Delta as a Tony Jannus Distinguished Aviation Society announced that Delta's CEO, our CEO, Richard Anderson, will be awarded the 2013 Tony Jannus Award. And it's even more exciting to think that we're right here where commercial aviation started, the replica of the airplane that Tony Jannus flew. And Bill, I'm not sure about the $5 one-way fare. But, and as Robert mentioned and so many others, to be a part of such a distinguished list of honorees, I know is an honor for Richard, but also for 80,000 Delta employees that Delta could be represented in that list. And because the Tony Jannus Award recognizes outstanding achievement in commercial aviation, I truly do believe that it's appropriate for Richard to be among that list because of the leadership he's shown in the industry. A couple of examples. He's recently served as the chairman of the airlines for the America Board of Directors. And then also, he was just recently elected as chairman of the International Air Transport Association, so he will start that service in June of this year. And then for someone who gets to work, I get the honor to work with Richard on a regular basis. He is a phenomenal leader for us as a Delta team and for the airline, and truly challenges us every single day to be a better company than we were the day before for our customers and for our shareholders as well. And Robert also briefly mentioned this. The other thing about Richard that certainly, Tony Jannus had a vision. And certainly Richard keeps us focused on our vision every single year. We have a plan document called the Flight Plan. Every single 80,000 employee, no matter where you sit in the company, we know about that flight plan. We know that's our journey, and we're graded on that journey at the end of the year. Did we achieve our flight plan? Richard's been given this prestigious award as the Society prepares to celebrate that 100th anniversary of that first flight. And the year-long Flight 2014 celebrations will be a reminder to all of us around what was made possible by Tony Jannus and the 100 years since from a commercial aviation perspective. I know every single one of us would not argue the fact that aviation truly touches every single facet of our lives today. And so on behalf of Richard Anderson, it truly is an honor to stand before you to accept this announcement on his behalf today. It's an honor for all of us to be here to do that. I know that he's looking forward to being here in November to accept the award in person. And in closing, as I was preparing for today, I was impressed that as I was reading Percival Fansler, who spoke at the launch 100 years ago, I was impressed by the words, and here they are. What was impossible yesterday is an accomplishment today, while tomorrow heralds the unbelievable. So I think we might all agree those words are as true today as they were 100 years ago.
Flight 2014, Inc. was organized and incorporated at the initiative and with the support of the Tony Jannus Distinguished Aviation Society, the Florida Aviation Historical Society, and the St. Petersburg Historical Society this last year. Its mission is to plan, promote, and coordinate civic activities and public events in the Tampa Bay area to celebrate the 100th anniversary of scheduled commercial aviation. We do that among ourselves, the three founding organizations, plus we are working with the Tampa and St. Petersburg Chambers of Commerce, the cities of Tampa and St. Petersburg, Fantasy of Flight, Sun and Fun, and several other organizations. You know, everybody that's preceded me has talked about the centennial and Tony Jannus and the history that he made. And I just have to reinforce, this is a big deal. This is a major, major event. His historic flight with his associates, Percival Fansler and Tom Benoit, established the world's first commercial aviation operation, and they did it right here between St. Petersburg and Tampa. So don't consider it a local event. It has international and continuing growth applications, and we couldn't be happier for it. Activities planned to date, the board has invited Mayor Foster and Mayor Buckhorn to serve as honorary co-chairs of the advisory board, and they have accepted. The purpose of this advisory board is to create a buy-in of the centennial celebration and to serve as a resource as needed. Of interest, the board currently is comprised of 4 former recipients of the Tony Jannus Award, 3 distinguished members of the Distinguished Aviation Society, 1 who's the Director of Aviation of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, and 1 is an astronaut who was inducted in the Florida Aviation Hall of Fame last January 2012. The board has reached out to Senator Nelson, Congressman Mikas to serve as co-chairs of the Flight 2014 Commission of Federal and State Officials, and they're leading an effort to obtain federal and state proclamations recognizing the centennial. Fundraising is an obvious activity. Our goal is $50,000. We're proud to recognize that the Edwards Group has agreed to be the presenting sponsor. The St. Pete Chamber of Commerce has added a page to its website celebrating the centennial and facilitating the donation of funds. In March, the new Flight 2014 website went online, and you can access it at www.airlinecentennial.org, Airline Centennial being all one word. We had attempted to motivate the post office to have a centennial stamp featuring Tony Jannus. Regrettably, that's not going to happen. However, our current focus is on a special airline cancellation for collectors and for the public, which will be available in January of next year. The board participated in the St. Petersburg's annual celebration of First Night last New Year's Eve, and the group planning First Night for next year has accepted our recommendation that the First Night logo and theme for 2014 be First Night, First Flight. And First Flight, as announced in a press conference at the St. Pete Museum of History last year, is taking on full meaning by the work of Kermit Weeks, creator, founder, CEO of Fantasy of Flight. Kermit and his staff, led by Ken Collette, have done the extensive research necessary to proceed with building an exact reproduction of the first airliner, the Benoit airboat, a model of which is above me. You can track the progress of that development of the flying model on a blog that Kermit set up at www.benoit2014.com. Our board met in March at Fantasy of Flight. We got a wonderful tour and an opportunity to see the progress that Kermit's made to date. His plans include having the Benoit airboat on display near the St. Pete Museum of History on New Year's Eve. He will reenact Tony Jannus' historic flight by taking off from the Illinois Basin at 10 a.m. on 1 January 2014, exactly 100 years to the minute that Tony Jannus did his thing. And after landing at Tampa with appropriate arrival ceremonies, he'll turn around and complete his round trip by coming back to St. Petersburg. Other centennial celebration activities being planned are a continuing program from now throughout 2014 of first airline exhibits and educational programs, and we'll be celebrating the Tony Jannus event and the Centennial Flight at Sun and Fun in their program scheduled for April of 2014. Now, there's a lot yet to be done, and we certainly invite your support and welcome your participation as Flight 2014 coordinates the planning necessary to duly recognize this major event.